So you don't shun the devil with your rock and roll load. Knows that country music's gonna save your soul. The devil runs his groove in them rhythm and blues that send. It's gonna get you sun in the air.
Welcome back to The Speakeasy, another special bonus Boomerang edition live from Woody Creek, Colorado, the greatest city in the world. I'm here with Stephen Julander, who works at Woody Creek Distilleries. Stephen, thank you so much for joining us. It's great to have you on the program.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here, man. It's exciting.
Oh, dude, no, I love doing these. I love getting to come and visit the places where people work and kind of get a feel for what makes them uniquely of that spot. And this is a nerdy question to kick it off.
Go.
But on these Boomerang series, we like to really kind of identify a sense of place.
Sure.
Right? Like, why does this bar, this distillery, this whatever exist here, and why couldn't it be anywhere else? And at Woody Creek, I think that question kind of answers itself in an odd way because we're at a pretty high elevation. Like, this is Colorado. We are not all that close to sea level. So
absolutely, yeah.
Let's throw the nerds some red meat right here at the beginning. How does being at elevation affect the distilling process?
You know, for me, and I have to say, because I've only distilled at higher altitudes, other than kind of one place in my history. So it's unique in a lot of ways. Number one, kind of the famous word terroir, like what we are locally, but also kind of what the grains we get, the potatoes we get. So our base grains for the spirits we make, they're all grown here as well. And so in a lot of ways, what we have and what we pull from are all at a high altitude. But a lot of what we're dealing with the challenges are going to be kind of on that production side. So stills run a little different, more affected by, it's not kind of the pressure systems, right? Because in a lot of ways we're dealing with pressure vessels. The barrels themselves age differently. We're very dry here as well, but the altitude itself, other than really boiling points changing, so we kind of modify what we're looking at, we're able to kind of deal with them pretty simply. It's not, for me, not a huge challenge. How I cut my teeth was in, Denver. So that's, mile high. We're higher than that, obviously, but not too dissimilar. And so I'm used to it. So I can't speak so well on it because I'm just like, a lot of what we're doing is unique to us aging. The processes, we're always kind of changing gears and making sure it works. And also, it comes out, we're going to be obviously different than someone like Kentucky, who's much lower, higher humidity content, that sort of thing.
So you brought up another very important part of this that is affected by humidity and altitude and pressure and all that. The barrels. We're actually in your barrel room right now. Yep. Yeah. And how does that change the way a bourbon or a rye or whatever you're making ages versus, like you said, at Kentucky, which is just sort of a flat, shallow seabed?
Right. Yeah. A lot of what we find, so you think over time, you get loss in barrels, right? Mm-hmm. We're using wooden barrels that essentially breathe. And so to the season they breathe, in and out, the heat and the cool, right? The liquid moves deep into the staves as it kind of expands in the warmth, and then kind of in the cooler seasons pulls back out. So we have that movement. So we have our distillery, it's going to get hotter and colder because we're very high up. We get these deep winters. So we're going to get kind of more movement in the barrel, but also we're dry. And that's, I think, the big thing. Somewhere where there's high moisture content, we're going to get an amount of loss no matter what. But that loss kind of changes. We lose water because we're drier instead of that alcohol that's in there. So when we fill a barrel, we're going to eventually lose something, and that's going to be water. When you're in Kentucky, they lose a lot of the alcohol, or more of the alcohol, I should say. And so in our side, we cut with water. We add the water back during the process of before we bottle. And so we just add water back, and in a way, we're able to catch some of that back. Those losses. So in a way, we're kind of lucky, but also it's kind of fun because we'll have a barrel, you'll fill it. We fill it 55%. And so by the time we pull it, sometimes they're 120, sorry, I'm thinking proofs now, say 125 proof, 140 proof. So depending how it goes, but it's kind of, while you add that water back and you kind of build into what proof that the whiskey's best at. And that can be a ton. Oh, that's so much fun.
I couldn't tell if that sentence was going to end with the word fun or pain in the ass.
Oh, no, it's great. It's so much fun. Yeah. Cause you can kind of, if we're doing a single barrel select, we're going to be picking a barrel and then we can kind of proof it if we need to, if it's not a barrel proof, we can kind of proof that cask to the best point that it's at. We can kind of taste our way through, or if we're working with someone, that's purchased a single barrel and we're doing that for a company, or, we have businesses we work with. It's always fun because we can kind of work our way through and find the proof that it's best at. We have our whiskey is set at a set proof as well, which is the proof we found that's best in the bottle at. So where we think it's best, but it's also cool to work with other people to kind of see what they think. So I think for me, it's like you're talking nerdy, like you really get to kind of like play around with it. And yeah.
Would you ever release like a barrel strength, or is that just like too?
We have a handful. Yeah. We kind of, we pull those single barrels, when we're making our blends, it's all about kind of finding the unique flavors. And so we're tasting through the barrels. We find that cherry, that really, really nice one. It gets set aside, and we'll be able to pull from that. And we've got some offerings in-house, and I believe distributed as well. So
nice.
If you're ever in the neighborhood, come down, grab something totally unique just found here. So
yeah, well, I mean, and I would imagine that, if you were to release like a barrel strength, like again, as we were saying, at a place that used to be on the bed of a flat, shallow, like pre-Cambrian sea, it would be different than what comes out of these barrels, especially in terms of like the voltage and just the sheer, I don't know, strength. I kind of think it makes me think of like those hot sauces where you have to like sign a waiver before you buy it. I don't know, like what is sort of the defining characteristic of some of those single barrels that you've played around with?
I think again, and I will never speak negatively about, other distilleries, because I think it's like, I think what they make.
Once we shut the cameras off, we can have some whiskeys and chat.
I do think everyone makes something different and unique. And like, for us, what we're putting into it matters a lot, right? It's not just the spirit that comes out, but it's that process that goes in. And we are, single batch, hands-on, we've got a small crew running here. We do small volumes. And so a lot of what you're getting out is the base flavors, the grain bill that goes in matters, like the grains we're using, we get them from Colorado. We're 100% Colorado. And so that's going to kind of pass through. We're also, the yeast that we're using is unique, and the blend thereof. We've got, everything that kind of in that process, it's small, each batch kind of comes through, it's slow, and every barrel's unique. So I think what we get out is the fact that we're making something in-house, small and single batch. And we're only speaking in whiskey, but we also make a vodka. That vodka is based in pure potatoes grown here in Colorado. It's very unique to make something like that. And it's got different flavor than you could ever get. We've got a unique potato that's unique just to us. And so we're the only ones using it. And so something that passes through, is like, we're like no one else because of how we do it, what we're doing. And then, the aging, like every little bit of this process, I think the reason I love this place is, we're making it ourselves and we're doing it, the hard way. And I think that's something to brag about,
No, I love that. And I want to drill down on that vodka later too. Because that was very surprising when I tried that.
Yeah, that's great.
But I want to first take us down something else that you mentioned, which is the fact that it's kind of this is a very small, very like tight knit operation.
Absolutely.
And I'll be honest, I was a little surprised. This place is a little smaller than I was expecting it to be. Yeah. That's not a dig, as we all know. It's not about the size. It's how you use it. And the way you guys have specifically designed this place to be operating at that kind of smaller clip and not having like the 6-8 story stills in here.
Yeah.
Walk me through the thought process of why you built it that way and why you think it comes through in the final product.
I think the big thing is, we're starting small volumes, we're kind of running small volumes the whole way through. I think that it keeps it so that we can kind of stay small. I think that is in a way the goal, right? The goal is to always grow and be better, but in a lot of ways at some point things change. And so I think having small distillery that's making their own products has the pride behind it. We kind of lock ourselves in a corner in some senses of that, but in other senses, then we're still always making a quality product that doesn't, lose flavor over time. We're always going to kind of have that. And so for me, as far as like my timeline goes, as a distiller, I've always kind of sought premium brands to be working with to help grow what I know as a distiller. But also because I think there's that personality behind it. There's a human that's making it. It's not a huge still that's automated. We're testing it the whole way through. We're tasting it the whole way through. And I think there's an honesty and a personality that carries through. The crew here, all the folks that are here, just like, it's like I hate to say like family, but it really is like, you can go talk to anyone at any time and you care, like the caring matters, but it does, like it freaking does. And it's hard to find these days, and as places grow bigger, and I just love it.
You know how you can tell when people actually mean it when they say this place is like a family?
Yeah.
It's if they couch it with the like, I know this sounds corny and shitty, but it's the people, people who are just staring like dead eye to the camera. It's like, we're like a family here. It's like, are you, is someone holding a gun to your head right now? Are you okay?
Gang. Yeah. No, it really is like, you come in from a weekend and they you can just banter, and it's not all about the emails, it's about the spirit we're making. And so for me, that's the seller, in the end, what's the final product, but getting there, we love it. Like you see folks in the tasting room that work here. It's not like we go home and just put our heads down, there's a love for this place.
I love it. Yeah. I love love. Love is great.
I love it. Yeah. Me too.
Well, let's talk about what you guys are making. Let's talk about vodka, because that was another thing that kind of surprised me when I got here, because I'd always encountered Woody Creek as a whiskey spot.
Sure. Yeah.
Like fan of your
Colorado
stuff.
whiskey.
Been drinking it for a while. Colorado whiskey. Yeah,
sure.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And I came in here and I asked a question about why you make your vodka the way you do. And the response, I'm paraphrasing here, but it's like, oh, we're a vodka distillery, man. Didn't you know? Like that's the cornerstone of the whole operation.
Sure. That's how it started,
Well, tell me a little bit about that.
So Mary, the owner, she and her husband, Pat, they were growing potatoes. They have a potato farm at the time and make the product that you're growing. Like, so they basically take one thing, this valley at one point was a heavy potato grower. I've heard quoted, and I haven't seen it, but I've heard quoted that at one point they're growing more than Idaho. And so this valley was used for that. So we're taking something that has a history here, grown for, as just a base crop, right? It's a great food stuff. And taking that and just elevating it. And so it started with that as far as I know, but the newer whiskey, right? They made whiskey afterwards, but whiskey has to age. And so you kind of build yourself on the clear spirits coming off, but they kind of just from the start did it the hard way, which is amazing early on with a distillery. That's a challenge to do, right? There's a lot of time and love that goes on kind of before you get something back. And they decided to kind of just jump full in. And so started with the potatoes. And actually, if we can kind of like tie it in, that's how William H. Macy joined the crew, because he's a neighbor of Mary. He came by or basically they came by him and were like, hey, we're running out of, space to grow. Can we use part of your property? And so he ended up kind of being on board early on, and then over time kind of joined it. I know it's not like hi neighbor. We paid him a lot. No, he's a integral part, because he's absolutely he is the story with us,
I want to talk a little bit more about this vodka, because the catechism that you learn when you're training as a bartender, or when you trained as a bartender in the 2010s, the way I did, was vodka has no flavor. Yeah. Why would you use something that has no flavor?
Flavorless, colorless, tasteless.
That was the party line for a very, very long time. The vodka I had today did not match up with that. Absolutely. And I would say is kind of superior. Well, it's superior to something that doesn't taste like anything. Right. Duh.
I mean, it stands alone as its own flavor, right? And we kind of on that edge, like flavorless, colorless, tasteless of vodka, it stands alone. It still has that character of potato that comes through. It's like hearty. It's got this depth that you don't find, if you're running, I won't state any brands, but if you're running something that's so clean that it's almost astringent, it's not really what you want, right? Like you want that character to kind of come through and then help bolster up in a cocktail those other flavors. And so the potatoes come through. I kind of lost where you're coming from on your point, but it's it's one of those things. Like it stands alone as an actual part of the cocktail, rather than just vodka and this stuff. It's like the vodka stands with the other components, and it bolsters them, and I think that's wonderful. Yeah, it's unique. It's a challenge too. It's tough to make.
You're using potatoes, which are not the cleanest substance to deal with in a distillery.
Thick mashed potatoes, and we're fermenting them down. It takes time. And actually, just so you know, we do it once a year, right? When the harvest occurs, we grab those. So, we have that unique potato. It right now is, I believe they're harvesting it. They'll wash it a number of times because we get them in super clean, and then it'll go through our process, which is essentially we make mashed potatoes, we ferment them, and then distill them. So it's mucky, it's thick, but it's fun. The harder it is, the more fun it is. So
totally. And also, I mean, what if it was mashed potatoes, but it got you drunk? It's kind of a nice selling point.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. We make the gravy, baby. But yeah, it's fun. Like I love doing it.
Well, let's talk a little bit about you, because we're recording this the day that the press release went out.
Sure,
You're stepping into this role. So congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I've been here a little bit, but yeah, we released, you had the
DTR talk with the people here, and you're like, let's make this official. Let's be boyfriend, girlfriend.
Yeah, let's like put it on paper. Yeah, no, it's been fun. And it's just one of those things, right? It's like I established myself, but the goal isn't always to kind of be the front of it. It's running. This place is running and rocking. I was brought in to, help push us forward and take my knowledge and kind of push that. And so it's fun. I love it. This is like, distilling is like, I feel like it's as cool as you can get while being a nerd in a way, right? It's like you dig in, and my goal is to tear apart everything we already do, and we do it right, and then just kind of elevate that. And I love doing that, right? You get to kind of, everything's a project. So you kind of like figure out what we're doing. How can we create more efficiency? And so that's kind of why I've been brought in. And then also to kind of do this sort of thing. I love talking about the spirits and like being a part of more than just producing, but representing that properly. Because I was brought up distilling, right? I've done every process in this place right and wrong, I suppose. And it's one of those things that I'll always want to be hands-on, and I still get to do that here, which is the best,
No, I feel this is the best part of the job, is getting to talk about it.
Get to talk about it and represent it,
Yeah. And I mean, I can't do your job, because I tried to be like a brewer and a distiller. It wasn't for me. So as we all know, those who can't do teach, and those who can't teach podcast. That's just how it works.
I love that. I mean, and it's not like a down, like I think it's all in line. Like, I don't know, because you're representing us. I don't know. I appreciate it all the way around.
One thing we like to get into in these series is kind of a sense of place. And I know that, as we just touched on, this is a new gig for you.
Yeah.
But it sounds like this is a part of the world in kind of a general, I don't know, milieu, terroir, terrarium, biodome, whatever you want to call it. Like, this is something that seems familiar to you in a lot of ways, but also kind of like another step for you. So this is the part of the interview where I'd normally ask, like, what do you make of the cocktail and bar scene in Woody Creek? But I know that because you haven't been here for too super long, I guess I want to rephrase that into, how do you sort of see what you're bringing to this, to the town, the surrounding area, to what Woody Creek, as you know it so far, is all about?
I mean, I think this place is super unique because it's not, people think of like the area, sure. They think of, we go there skiing, but there's a community, there's a base here, and it's well established. The people are very proud. There's so much going on every season, and it's not just built for tourism, which you can find in a lot of places. It's like, we're focusing on that tourism. This is a wonderful mix of both tourism and this local like economy, as well as culture. And so it's amazing to live in a place and be a part of a place that is a place and not just a stopping point. There's folks that come in often, and there's folks that come in every time they visit, to have a cocktail. And so for me, it's more than just, I think it's more than a place, and more than even a mindset of a place. It's really a community, and that community that like fluctuates and grows. People that feel they're a part of a community because they're here intermittently, and they get to experience that, as well as people that are here every day and love it for that fact. We get these unique places to eat because we get tourism, and like people are looking for different flavors, which is fantastic. We're not we don't fall behind. We're kind of on the edge of things. And then also on the other side, we still have those mainstays where locals go and tourists get to enjoy as well for a reasonable price. So like, we're in this wonderful, like, intermittent world. And like, it's great to be a part of that kind of middle ground, because we get all these different sides and it becomes home. That's what I love.
And I can see it when I walk around here. Everyone I've talked with, I've only been here for about 24 hours or so.
Yeah.
But everyone I've talked to, whether they're distilling or bartending or making food or leading fly fishing tours, they kind of have this air of just like, I kind of can't believe I get to do this in this objectively beautiful
gorgeous place. Yeah. And if you don't, it's like, I don't know, like, just drive 15 minutes, man. Like, you'll remember why you're here. It's this gorgeous place where people, I think, locals, and then people that become locals, and then people that want to be locals, and then people that are just here for the weekend, like all can kind of be like, man, I'm going back there because, I want to call this home. I've lived in places where you're like, but like this isn't that, So for me, to be in that place and then represent it both locally with what we're making as well as what we're helping with the economy, the local economy, by buying our grains locally, by buying our potatoes, our own variety grown for us now. We're able to continue that economy. And even, parts of our gin, right? Even those botanicals in our gin that we can get locally. So everything we can do to keep this area and this state represented is huge for us in a sense of pride.
So what I'm hearing is you're going to stick around for a little bit.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Hook, line, and sinker, man. I mean, yeah, it's so much fun. Like we're having a great time. And I cut my teeth in Colorado at Law's Whiskey House. So, it's kind of coming home. It's like a homecoming for me.
Well, welcome home, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah. I'm happy to be here.
Happy to have you here. Looking forward to coming back and visiting sometime. And thank you so much for sitting down and talking with us today.
It's been a pleasure. I appreciate it. And yeah, anytime.
Well, that is going to do it for us on this special bonus Boomerang edition of the Speakeasy. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time from the greatest city in the world, wherever that is. Till then, cheers.
So you don't charm the devil with your rock and roll load. Knows that country music's gonna save your soul. The devil runs his groove in them rhythm and blues that sound. It's gonna get